Welcome to Keli College of Commerce. I, Professor Sneha Hiremat, would like to continue Chapter 4th, Planning. As already been discussed with regard to the meaning of planning as well as the features and importance, we have seen how planning is essential for business organizations. It is very difficult to manage operations without a formal plan. It is very important for a business organization to move forward for achieving the goals without having a formal plan. But we also have seen in our daily lives that things do not always go according to plan. Some unforeseen events, changes, rise in the costs, prices, and environmental changes or even government interventions, changes in the legal rules and regulations, all this affect our business plans. For example, how currently the pandemic effect has affected the business plans, which was not at all been forecasted by anyone. It is an unforeseen event. So, because of this, the business plans will not be followed according to the plan. Thus, plans need to be modified according to the change. If we cannot adhere to our plans, then why do we plan at all? So, this is what we need to analyze. Thus, there are some major limitations of planning which are given here. The first point is planning leads to rigidity. Yes, planning leads to rigidity. In an organization, plans are drawn up with specific goals to be achieved within a specific time frame. Yes, the meaning of planning is already discussed that within the time period the set objective has to be achieved and how it has to be done and how the planning will be done, how the way will be selected, how the alternative choices among the various course of action will be done. That was with regard to the planning. So, plans are drawn to achieve the specific goals within the time frame. So, this tends to bring rigidity in the methods of work as employees are required to strictly follow the predetermined policies. And following the policies will not be a problem for an employee, but the policy has to be changed or it has to be modified according to the change. If plan is done, if the policies are predetermined, it brings rigidity for a worker to follow that particular method. So thus this planning leads to rigidity. Managers need to be given some flexibility to cope up with changed circumstances because following a pre-decided plan in case of change in circumstances may not be the interest of the organization. The ultimate interest of the organization is to achieve the goal, not just to follow the pre-decided plan or to follow the predetermined policy. Hence, managers must be given such flexibility to change according to the change or to cope up with the circumstances. Second, planning may not work in a dynamic environment. The business environment is dynamic. Plans have to operate in an external environment which is beyond the control of any organization. The organization has to constantly adapt itself to the changes. Planning does not provide positive results when such changes are not accurately forecasted. For example, it is very difficult to make accurate forecasts about economic conditions, government policies, human behavior, or natural calamities. So, planning will not work in a dynamic environment. For example, no business organization had forecasted that this pandemic effect is going to arise in 2020, or it is going to affect their plan. So, plan has to be modified, and in such a changing environment and in an external environment, this is beyond the control of the organization. So plan is beyond the control of any organization. The organization has to adapt itself with the changes. Then the planning may provide some positive results if it is modified. If not, it will be very difficult, and there might not be very positive results, and such changes are not accurately forecasted. Third point is planning reduces creativity. Planning is an activity which is done by the top management and other members and the rest of the members, that has to be strictly followed according to the plan which is done by the top management. The rest of the members have to strictly follow that plans. Other members like middle management and the lower management, as well as the workers. Middle management and other decision makers are neither allowed to deviate from plans nor they are permitted to act on their own. As a result, they do not get any opportunity to show their skills, and it limits their initiativity and creativity. Planning involves huge costs. It is said that planning is an expensive process, as lot of money is spent on gathering and analyzing information and evaluation of various alternatives, especially when a manufacturer or a businessman is planning for a new product or a new idea or a new concept which is not at all present in the world. Then they need to gather information, they need to analyze, they need to do more and more research and development activities. Hence it involves huge costs for the detailed plans. Detailed plans require scientific calculations to ascertain facts and figures. Planning also involves number of incidental costs like expenses on boardroom meetings, discussion with the professional experts, and preliminary investigations to find out the viability of the plan. That is, how well the plan can work, or how long the plan can be implemented, and what results can be brought out of that particular plan. So such preliminary investigations need to be done. So thus planning involves huge costs. If costs incurred on planning do not justify the benefits derived from it, then planning should be avoided, especially in case of firms with shortage of funds. Planning is a time consuming process. Yes, it is not only expensive, it is a time consuming process, as lot of time is needed for collection, analysis, interpretation of data, At the times, formulation of plans takes so much of time that there is not much time left for their implementation. Planning becomes a difficult exercise during sudden and unexpected emergencies which require immediate decisions. Lastly, planning does not guarantee success. Yes, the success of an enterprise is possible only when the plans are properly drawn up and it is implemented. It means plans need to be translated into action, otherwise, they become meaningless. For example, if you have a plan of starting a business and who all will be the members, what would be the investment, what would be the source of finance, everything is set. If that is not put into action and you have such n number of business plans with you, then it is a meaningless. So, thus, managers have a tendency to rely on previously tried and tested successful plans. However, it is not necessary that a plan which has worked before will work again in the changed and competitive environment. This kind of false sense of security may actually lead to failure instead of success. Mere planning does not ensure success. Rather, efforts have to be made for it. Thus, planning does not guarantee success. Apart from this, I would also like to explain the external limitations of planning, like natural calamities. Natural events such as flood, earthquake, famine, etc., they are beyond the control of managers and can cause failure of planning. Even the changes in government policies, as already been told, that government policies exercise a significant influence on business activities, which has already been discussed in the business environment, that is in the dimension of business environment. Managers have no control over these policies because managers cannot alter the government policies. For example, change in the industrial policy, change in the taxation policy, or the bank rate, etc., may make the plans ineffective. Strategies of competitors may also change their strategies, which leads to the failure of firm's plan. If a business firm is planning anything and suddenly his or her competitor, if they change their strategy, then your firm plan may be leading to a failure. For example, introduction of an improved model of an existing product by the competitor may make our plans useless. Sudden change in the technologies may also affect the plan. Faster technological changes reduce the effectiveness of planning. Not only change in the technology but also change in fashion, taste, especially it affects the clothing business. Unexpected changes in the fashion, tastes, and preference of consumers may affect the sales forecast of a firm. However, to conclude, the discussed limitations of planning indicate the complexities and problems involved in the planning process. They do not limit the importance of planning. To conclude, To conclude, I would like to say that despite its limitations, planning is not a useless exercise. It is a tool to be used with caution. It provides a base for analyzing future course of action, but it is not a solution to all the problems. Thank you all.